My name is Emily Carter, and on the night of my 38th birthday, my husband tried to have me declared mentally unfit so he could take everything I've built. I didn't know any of this when the night started, but by the time the candles burned down, I would be running for my life, while the man who vowed to love me smiled for the cameras and called me unstable. Hours earlier, I was just a woman celebrating another year sitting across from the man I believed I still loved. The restaurant was the kind that required reservations weeks in advance, a Michelin-starred place in downtown Austin, with gold accents, chandeliers, soft jazz, and a table setting that cost more than I earned in my first month as an architect. Patrick. My husband looked flawless in his navy suit, his smile charming, effortless, designed to persuade. He ordered filet mignon for himself and sea bass for me, without asking the way he always did, controlling wrapped in chivalry. To my brilliant wife, he toasted, the woman who makes the world more beautiful one building at a time. The champagne sparkled under candlelight, and for a moment I was foolish enough to believe everything was okay again, that all the little red flags in our marriage were just imagination. But then his phone vibrated. He sighed, annoyed, and stood. Work. Just a minute, he said, brushing a hand over my shoulder. Don't go anywhere. That last part, don't go anywhere, I would replay in my head for months, not as affection, as a warning. While he stepped outside to take the call, the waitress approached to refill my water. She leaned in too close. Her perfume hit my throat, lavender and fear. Her voice didn't match her polite smile. Ma'am, if you're Emily Carter, she whispered, you need to leave. Now. My heart knocked against my ribs. What are you talking about? I whispered back. She slid something into my palm, shaking hands, chipped nail polish. A small business card, plain, only a phone number printed on it. There's a car waiting at the service exit, she murmured. Take it. Don't ask questions. Don't go back for anything. I stared at her. She couldn't be serious. I can't just walk away. That's my husband. Her expression tightened, not pity, fear. He isn't who you think he is. My pulse spiked. I half rose from my seat and glanced toward the entrance, waiting for Patrick to reappear, smiling, telling me everything was fine, that this was ridiculous. Instead, two men I'd never seen before in dark jackets entered the restaurant. They scanned the room like security searching for a target. My stomach turned. The waitress stepped forward slightly, shielding me from their line of sight. Go, she whispered urgently. If he files what he plans to tonight, you won't own your own name by morning. Those words, they snapped something inside me. I didn't look back. I didn't grab my coat. I didn't even take my purse. I just walked toward the kitchen like I belonged there, head high, heart collapsing. The moment the swinging doors shut behind me, chaos erupted in the dining hall chairs, scraping raised voices. Someone had noticed. The waitress hurried me through a corridor lined with stainless steel counters and exhausted chefs. A push through a heavy metal door and cold night air rushed over my skin. A silver sedan waited, engine running, headlights off. A woman stood beside it, hood up, hands in pockets. She spoke my name before I even reached her. Emily, I'm Claire, get in. Her urgency was sharp enough to cut through every doubt I had left. The door shut and the sedan peeled away. I twisted in my seat, looking through the rear window. Patrick had burst out the restaurant's front doors. He was shouting. Someone pointed toward the back alley. Patrick's eyes locked onto our car. His face, a mask I'd never seen before, twisted with a fury that chilled me to the bone. The car turned a corner and he vanished from sight. The silence in the car was suffocating. I clutched the plain card the waitress had given me. Who are you? My voice trembled. Claire didn't look away from the road. I'm what happens after women like us survive men like him. Men like him. I wanted to say my husband wasn't like anyone else, that he loved me, that we were planning a vacation next month, that he held me when I cried and called me his everything. But then I remembered. He told me not to bring my phone tonight. He insisted on controlling my bank login. He argued against a prenup. He talked over me in meetings. He laughed at my worries. Pieces of a puzzle rearranged themselves in my memory into something dangerous. Claire spoke again. Patrick isn't just trying to leave you, he's trying to erase you. I stared at her profile, steady, experienced, heartbreaking. She wasn't lying, she had seen this before. How do you know what he's doing? I asked, words barely escaping. Because 2 years ago, she said someone else saved me the same way. I faced forward. The road stretched black and endless. What is he planning? I whispered. She exhaled slowly. Emergency guardianship. The term meant nothing to me. She clarified. He's convincing a court that you're mentally unstable, that you can't manage your own life or finances. With one judge's signature, he can take control of your business, your investments, even your medical decisions. I felt hollow. I'm perfectly sane. Claire nodded. That won't matter once the paperwork is filed. I grabbed the door handle instinctively, not to jump out, but to steady myself against the weight of betrayal. Everything I built, my architecture firm, my townhouse, every late night drafting floor plans, Patrick could legally steal it overnight. Why would he do this? The answer hit me like a brick. My company just secured our biggest contract last month, a multi-million-dollar hotel renovation, and Patrick suddenly became extremely attentive. God, I let him in right when I should have kicked him out. My voice cracked. Where are we going? Claire finally met my eyes. To a place where he can't touch you. The car slowed outside a modest apartment building. No luxury, no cameras, no neighbors peeking through blinds, just safety disguised as ordinary life. The driver helped me out, then drove away without a goodbye. Claire locked the door behind us as we stepped inside. Everything smelled faintly of fresh paint and new beginnings. There's someone you need to meet tomorrow, Claire said, an attorney. She specializes in taking down men like Patrick. I collapsed onto the couch. Tears burned behind my eyelids but refused to fall. I wasn't ready to cry. Not yet. Not before I understood exactly what the hell was happening to my life. Why me? I whispered. Why would he choose me? Claire crouched in front of me and spoke with careful honesty. You're successful, respected, financially independent. You're every predator's dream. I covered my face with trembling hands. Patrick hadn't married me for love. He married me for acquisition. The realization scorched through my chest. Claire rested a steady hand on my knee. But listen to me carefully, they chose the wrong woman. Then she stood and handed me a small notebook. Write down everything you remember, the names he mentioned, the documents he asked you to sign, the times he made you doubt yourself. I opened the notebook with a numb determination. My pen touched the paper. And for the first time that night, I felt something other than fear. I felt the first spark of fury. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. Lawyers, lies, news headlines, maybe a legal war ugly enough to ruin us both. But one thing was certain. Patrick was done controlling the narrative. This time I was drawing the blueprint. Claire didn't turn on the lights. The apartment was dim, lit only by a small lamp on the kitchen counter. Safety didn't need brightness, it needed silence. I sat on the couch, notebook open but untouched. My mind was still back at that restaurant, watching Patrick's face morph into something unrecognizable. It wasn't the man I slept beside. It wasn't the man who made me scrambled eggs on Sundays and held umbrellas over my head in the rain. It was a stranger wearing my husband's skin. Claire poured a glass of water and handed it to me. You need to stay hydrated, she said. Shock dries you out. Shock. Yes, that's exactly what this was. I looked around the apartment. It wasn't a home, just a holding place, a staging ground, a temporary shelter built on quick decisions and desperate timing. Where are we? I asked. A safe location, she replied. No one knows this address except our team. That's the point. Our team. The words felt foreign in my mouth. Claire sat across from me, studying me with a quiet intensity. How long have you and Patrick been married? She asked. 3 years, I said. We met during a restoration project downtown. He funded part of it. I thought he believed in my vision. What he believed in, Claire corrected gently, was your value. I swallowed. That distinction hurt more than I expected. Claire continued. They watch Emily. They study. They pick women who carry their own weight and then some, women who don't need them, because that's the gold mine. I stared into my water glass, watching the surface tremble with the tiny shaking in my hands. My firm, I whispered. My properties, my accounts. He has access to all of it. That's exactly the problem, Claire said. He's been gathering evidence to prove you're unstable. Enough to get an emergency guardianship hearing granted by morning. Morning. He would own me by morning. The air thinned in my lungs. What about the police? I forced out. What if I go to them first? Claire's expression didn't soften. They've already filed a missing person report claiming you're a danger to yourself. You walk into a station, they hold you for your own safety while he processes the guardianship order. It's checkmate in 2 moves. I shut my eyes. I wasn't running from a crime. I was running from a system rigged against me. My phone buzzed in my memory, except it was still in the restaurant lying on that white tablecloth. Patrick had insisted I leave it behind. He said he wanted my full attention tonight. He lied. Claire stood and retrieved another folder. When she opened it, I saw printed screenshots, credit card transactions, bank account logins, emails. All in Patrick's name, accessing everything that should have belonged only to me. He's not working alone, she said. His mother has filed at least 4 petitions like this. 2 were approved. Those women lost everything before anyone could prove the abuse. The room tilted. Claire crouched in front of me, her tone turning firm like a coach, right before a game that decided everything. You are not powerless. You built your life brick by brick. You can fight for it. Fight. The word tasted sharp on my tongue. Before I could respond, someone knocked 3 times short, controlled. Claire's posture shifted immediately. She motioned for me to stay silent, then checked the peephole. It's just Marco, she murmured and opened the door. A tall man entered dressed casually, but with the posture of someone trained to see danger before it arrives. He carried a brown envelope and set it on the coffee table. Everything you asked for, he told Claire. Then he turned to me, his voice respectful. Emily, we're on your side. Whatever happens next, you won't face it alone. His certainty steadied something inside me. Claire handed me the envelope. This is where we start. Proof, paper trails, patterns. My fingers brushed the seal but hesitated. Claire understood. It's okay, you can take a moment. But I shook my head. Fear could wait. The clock would not. I ripped the envelope open. Inside were names, lawyers, bankers, women who vanished from public life after marrying into Patrick's family. A hidden history carved from other women's suffering. And my name was next on the list. A flame lit in my chest. It wasn't panic. It was rage. Marco remained by the door as Claire sat beside me, giving space but not distance. I flipped through the documents page after page, a map of betrayal. Every detail so meticulous, it felt like Patrick was dissecting my life under a microscope. One page stopped me cold timeline to guardianship approval 72 hours. Claire tapped the header. This is what he filed last week. He was just waiting for tonight to trigger the claim. So every tender gesture today, the champagne, the toast, it was all theater. My fingers dug into the papers. Marco spoke quietly. We need to build your counter-narrative before he freezes your accounts. He'll move fast. You need to move faster. How I breathed. Claire leaned back. Information. We'll expose the pattern. Show the judge this isn't a wife in crisis, it's a cycle of financial abuse. A cycle. I was part of a rotation of victims. Claire asked, do you have any personal accounts? He doesn't know about backup drives, documents proving your ownership in the firm. Yes, I said slowly. My partnership contract and several project files are at my office, and I keep a separate investment account under my maiden name. Claire nodded once firm. Good. First thing tomorrow, we secure those you and the lawyer. Marco added, but you can't go home. They might be watching. Cameras, neighbors. They will twist anything you do into instability. I breathed through clenched teeth. What about my staff? They'll know something's wrong. Yes, Claire said, and that helps us. Witnesses who can testify that you are highly functioning, respected, mentally sound. I laughed bitterly, short, ugly. Funny how sanity becomes something you have to prove. Claire's eyes softened. It's okay to feel everything all at once. Fear, anger, disbelief. They want you confused, but confusion is temporary. I met her gaze the room stabilizing around those words. Marco excused himself quietly, leaving us with more silence than comfort. Claire looked at me as if assessing whether I was still standing. I was. Barely, but I was. She guided me to the small bedroom. A neatly made bed, fresh sheets, and a folded sweatshirt waited on the chair. Someone anticipated I'd arrive here shattered. "You should rest," Claire said. "Tomorrow will be a long day." "I'm not sure I can sleep," I replied, sitting on the edge of the bed. Claire nodded, understanding too well. She lingered at the doorway. "One more thing," she said. "They'll likely try to contact your family or friends. They'll spin the story fast. Don't trust messages that come through anyone connected to Patrick." The idea that my own relationships could be weaponized made the floor tilt again. Claire added, "Tonight you are invisible. That's your advantage." When she left, I stared at the blank ceiling. Invisible, safe, trapped. All of it at once. My body finally gave in. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up. It was still dark, early morning. That gray, quiet hour when the world hasn't put on its mask yet. I sat up, heart racing, unsure what pulled me out of sleep. A nightmare. A noise. Then it came again. Buzz. A vibration against the nightstand. The burner phone Claire gave me. My throat tightened. Only a few people had this number. With shaking fingers, I picked it up. A text message displayed, "We're coming for you." No name, no number. Anonymous threat. But I didn't need a signature. Patrick's handwriting might not be on the message, but his intent was carved into every letter. I stood. Fear flooded, but rage overtook it. Instead of retreating, I walked to the desk in the living room, notebook open from the night before, pen waiting. I wrote one sentence across the top of the page. He underestimated the wrong architect. Tomorrow they might try to bury me. But tonight I was laying the foundation of his downfall. And I would make sure he watched every brick fall. I didn't sleep again after that message. I paced the small living room, clutching the burner phone like a weapon. Dawn crept through the edges of the curtains, turning everything gray and uncertain. Every sound felt like a threat. A car door outside, pipes in the wall, my own heartbeat. Claire emerged from the bedroom wearing jeans and a black leather jacket, practical tough, ready for battle. She didn't need me to explain what happened. She saw the phone in my hand, the terror in my eyes, and nodded as if it was expected. "They want you panicking. Don't give them what they want," she said. I nodded, even though panic was clawing through my chest like a trapped animal. Claire handed me a cup of coffee strong enough to feel like medication. "We move in 40 minutes. Olivia will meet us there." Olivia, the attorney, who could save me from legal annihilation. At least that's what Claire promised. I forced down a few sips, then sat across from her. "What happens first?" I asked. "We go to your office. Gather the documents that prove your ownership and mental capability. Employment contracts permits anything that shows you're the mind behind the firm," Claire said. "That's your power." I breathed out slowly. My life's work, floor plans, signed deals, awards my proof that I am not someone who needs to be protected from herself. I needed that proof. A judge needed that proof. Claire pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. "What's that?" I asked. "Tracker detector," she said. "They like to put them in shoes, jewelry bags, anything you walk around with daily." She stepped toward me, shoes first. I felt strangely exposed, taking off my heels. She ran the detector over the insoles. Nothing. She checked the seams of my dress, my bracelet, my coat that I didn't have. My breath caught another reminder that everything familiar was left behind on a white tablecloth with candlelight. "You're clean," Claire confirmed. "When this is over," I whispered, "I'm changing every lock and device I own." She offered a faint, fierce smile. "That's the spirit." We left through the back staircase, avoiding sidewalks and morning dog walkers. Marco waited outside with a different vehicle, a dark blue SUV. He nodded once as we approached, scanning the street with calm efficiency. "Any movement?" Claire asked. "Nothing unusual," he replied. We drove toward my office building in silence, each of us alert for tales. The streets of Austin were just waking up joggers in neon jackets, food trucks opening their metal windows, baristas wiping counters. Ordinary life continuing while mine felt like a movie someone forgot to turn off. My office appeared modern brick, clean lines, the signature skylight I designed myself. My name on the door, Carter Design Studio. I stared up at it and something inside me cracked. This wasn't just a building. It was 10 years of sacrifice. The late nights, the bidding wars, the failures no one saw. Patrick didn't build any of this. I did. Claire placed a hand on my back. Remember that feeling? Inside the studio smelled like fresh coffee and new lumber samples, my comfort sense. My assistant Abby looked up from her desk, startled. "Emily, oh my God, you're okay. We saw the alert this morning. Patrick has everyone panicking." I froze. He moved faster than we did. Claire stepped forward. "We're handling it. For now, please don't contact him or respond to anything from his family." Abby glanced between us, worry deepening. "But they said you were having." "I'm fine," I interrupted firmly. Patrick lied. That was all I gave her. There would be a time for explanations, not now. I hurried into my office. Claire followed, closing the door behind us. The safe under my desk contained exactly what we needed. My partnership contract, equity portfolio tied to the studio, completed project permits, my architect license and renewal receipts, profit and loss records for the last 3 years, awards from the Texas Urban Design Council, proof of sanity, proof of ownership, proof of worth. Claire helped pack everything into a black folder. "Next computer," she said. We copied crucial financial and project files to an encrypted drive. I wiped the keyboard with a shaky hand. "This feels like stealing my own life back," I murmured. "It is," Claire replied. Abby knocked once, cautiously. "Emily, someone's downstairs." I tensed. "Who?" "A man in a suit. He asked for you by name. Said he's here to help get you home." Patrick had found me. Claire moved fast, lights off, blinds shut. She motioned for silence and peeked through a sliver of the window. She swore under her breath. "That's his lawyer." Already my pulse thundered. "They're trying to get you to walk into a trap. If they serve you papers and you react emotionally, panic screaming, they'll use it in their guardianship claim." Claire's voice was razor sharp. "We leave through the back. No talking. No confrontation." I grabbed the folder and drive. Claire pulled me toward the emergency stairwell. Abby whispered good luck, eyes wide with fear and loyalty. We descended quickly. My breath echoed off the concrete walls. Outside, Marco was waiting, engine running. Just as we reached the SUV, I heard footsteps. We turned. Patrick. He looked like the perfect concerned husband, tie slightly loosened hair, mussed, as if he had been searching frantically for his lost wife. His eyes locked onto mine. Shock, relief, then anger. "There you are," he said, voice dripping with false tenderness. "Baby, please come home. You're confused. Let's talk just us." I froze. Even now, his performance was flawless, a manipulator who rehearsed in the mirror. Claire stepped between us. "She isn't going anywhere with you." Patrick's jaw tightened. "Who the hell are you?" "No one you can intimidate," Claire answered. Patrick laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Emily, you don't know what they're telling you. You're not well. You need help." Anger surged through me so suddenly that I surprised myself. "I am well," I said, "and I'm done." Patrick inched closer, tone darkening beneath the facade. "You're making a mistake." "No," I whispered, "you did." Marco opened the rear door. Claire guided me in. She climbed after me. The locks clicked. Patrick pounded once on the window. The veneer finally cracked, rage blazing through. "You think you can leave me," he spat. "You won't win, Emily." I stared directly into his eyes. "You're right," I said. "I won't just win. I'll make sure everyone sees what you are." Marco hit the gas. Patrick shrank in the rearview mirror, but his threat lingered, coiled around my spine like barbed wire. Claire exhaled shakily. "You handled that perfectly." "I don't feel perfect," I admitted. "You feel alive," she said. "That's the first victory." The phone buzzed again, a new message. From an unknown number. "Court hearing scheduled, 10:00 a.m. tomorrow." My heart slammed. "They're accelerating the process," Claire said grimly. "They know we're fighting back." I clenched the black folder tighter. "Where's Olivia?" I asked. "We'll meet her now," Claire assured. "She's waiting at her office." I looked out the window as the city blurred past. By tomorrow, Patrick wanted to own me. But by tomorrow, I planned to show the court the truth. I wasn't unstable. I wasn't confused. I wasn't controlled. I was an architect. And I would redesign the entire battlefield, brick by brick. Marco drove fast, weaving through traffic with the ease of someone who had done this kind of work 100 times before. Claire kept her eyes on the rear window, scanning for anything suspicious. I sat between them in the back seat, my heartbeat loud enough I thought it might crack the windows. We were heading toward a tall glass building near the courthouse district. Downtown Austin at mid-morning was full of suits and badges, everyone rushing somewhere important. And here I was, rushing to salvage my existence before someone else rewrote it. Marco pulled up close to the curb. "Go straight inside. She's expecting you." Claire got out first, checking the surroundings before motioning me forward. The air was cold, or maybe it was just my nerves. I hugged the folder of documents to my chest like a life vest. Inside the lobby was sleek white marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a security guard who barely glanced up. Claire led me to the elevator and pressed the button for the 21st floor. When the doors opened, a woman in a tailored charcoal suit stood waiting. Short dark hair, fierce eyes, no hesitation. "Emily," she greeted, extending her hand. "I'm attorney Olivia Reyes. Let's work." There was no pity in her tone, only purpose. It was exactly what I needed. She ushered us into a conference room overlooking the city skyline. Files were laid out neatly. A laptop waited with a legal form already open on screen. She'd been preparing for me long before I arrived. Claire sat at my right. Olivia took the seat across from me. "First," Olivia said, "I need your version of the story. Every detail you remember that shows you are competent, independent, and in control of your life." Competent, independent, in control. 3 qualities Patrick was trying to rip from me through paperwork. I opened the folder and began laying out my proof. "My architecture firm," I said. "These documents show my ownership stake and daily involvement." Olivia skimmed quickly, nodding. "Excellent. Judges respect professional stability." I continued. "I handled design approvals, client negotiations. My signature is on multiple permits. I'm the leading architect on a major renovation project starting next quarter." She tapped her pen. "We will use those signatures and timestamps to demonstrate active decision-making within the last 30 days. Claire leaned back with a small approving smirk. She loved watching Olivia work. "And your mental health?" Olivia asked. "I've never been diagnosed with anything. I've never been hospitalized." "That will help. They'll need fabricated records to claim otherwise." Olivia typed rapidly, building our narrative piece by piece. "Now, red flags in the marriage. Anything he said or did suggesting this plan was underway." A lump formed in my throat. I swallowed and forced myself to speak. "He asked me to sign a series of forms when we refinanced our home. He said it was routine. I signed without reading all the fine print. That's on me." "It's not," Olivia corrected softly. "Lying to a spouse to obtain consent invalidates that consent." I breathed out slowly. Claire chimed in. "They stage incidents, small setups to make you seem forgetful, emotional, unpredictable." I bit the inside of my cheek. Images flashed. Patrick moving items, then accusing me of misplacing them, calling me sensitive when I confronted him, telling me I needed to sleep more because I was slipping. I never put those pieces together. Now they formed a weapon. I recounted everything. Olivia wrote fast. When I finished, she calmly placed her pen down. "Emily," she said, "you are not the woman in their report. You are not someone who needs a guardian. You are a target." The word hit like a punch, but she continued. "We'll file for an emergency restraining order, freeze any legal motions he attempts until we can present a full defense. That means we need a sworn declaration from you today." "Let's do it," I said, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. Olivia slid the document toward me. "Read this carefully. Confirm every line is true. Then sign." Her laptop dinged. Olivia's eyes flicked to the notification, her jaw tightened. "What is it?" Claire asked. Olivia turned the screen so we could see. A live stream. Patrick, standing outside my office building, speaking into microphones. "My wife vanished last night. She's been struggling mentally for months. We're praying for her safe return." He even made his voice crack. My stomach turned. "He's shaping public opinion," Olivia muttered. "If the court sees the public rallying behind him, it pressures them to act." Patrick reached into his jacket and held up a framed photo. It was our wedding picture. He kissed the glass. "You bastard," I whispered. Olivia clicked the tab closed. "Ignore him. We have truth. Truth takes longer to cut through noise, but once it does, it destroys lies." Claire squeezed my shoulder, a silent reminder. Stay focused. I reviewed the declaration from our first date to last night's escape. Every sentence was a steel beam supporting my defense. When I signed my name, the pen didn't shake. It felt like reclaiming oxygen. "Good," Olivia said, gathering the documents. "Now we file, but one more thing." She slid a small recording device across the table. "This isn't about catching him screaming. It's the quiet things, contradictions coaching from his mother, slips in the narrative. If he contacts you, record everything." "He already sent a message," I said, showing her the burner phone. She scanned it, threat disguised as concern, classic tactic, screenshot saved. She tucked it into her folder. "Court hearing is set for 10 tomorrow morning," she said. "We'll be ready." Claire nodded. "We should leave now. They might have people watching the building." Before we stood, Olivia looked directly into my eyes. "One last question," she said. "Are you prepared for the ugliness? They will lie. They will invade every corner of your past. They will try to break you." I held her stare. "I won't break," I said. "Not for them." A fierce, approving smile spread across Olivia's face. That's exactly the answer I needed. The city noise hit us the moment we stepped outside. Honking horns, motorcycles, the rhythm of people who had no idea a war was being declared in their midst. As we approached the SUV, I instinctively looked around for Patrick. For his mother. For any shadow that might carry his intentions. Marco was already in position, eyes scanning always 2 steps ahead. We got in. I placed the folder on my lap and exhaled. Tomorrow they would try to put me under legal guardianship. Tomorrow they would call me broken. But today I filed a declaration stating the truth. I am the architect of my own life, and I am done letting someone else draw the plans. Claire turned toward me. "You ready for the next move?" I nodded. "Let's tear down everything he thinks he owns," I said. The tires gripped the concrete as we pulled away. There was no turning back. Marco drove us out of downtown and into a quiet residential area north of the river, the kind of neighborhood where the houses had wide porches, mailboxes shaped like miniature barns, and wind chimes that twinkled gentle warnings in the breeze. We pulled into the driveway of a modest 2-story home, nothing like the glass building of war we had just left. "This is safe ground," Marco said, scanning the street again before helping me out of the car. "No one knows this location. It's where Claire stays when she's working a case." The door opened before we knocked. Claire stepped aside, letting us in. The house was warm, lived in, a stark contrast to the sterile panic that had wrapped around my night and morning. "Make yourself at home," she said. "You're safe here for now." For now. Safety had become a temporary concept in my life. I sank onto the couch, still gripping the legal folder Olivia had given me. My hands were shaking, but not from fear this time, from adrenaline, from the momentum of fighting back. Marco put his phone on the coffee table. A map app was open, pins scattered across the city. "What's that?" I asked. He sat beside me. "These are addresses of similar cases, women who almost lost everything, some who did." He tapped one pin. This woman was labeled unstable after her husband petitioned the court, lost her kids, her house, her business. She hasn't been heard from in months. Another pin. She fled the state after being locked in a psychiatric hold for evaluation. I swallowed hard. How many? He hesitated. 32 pins so far, likely more. 32 lives. Patrick and his mother's network may have destroyed. Claire knelt in front of me. Her voice was low, precise. Emily, they've done this before. They're confident because it always works. Not this time, I said. She nodded sharply. Not this time. Hours passed while we reviewed strategies with Olivia over encrypted messaging. At some point, the exhaustion caught up to me, and Claire insisted I take the guest room for a nap. Sleep didn't come gently. I slipped in and out of consciousness, memories and fears flickering like broken film. Patrick sliding documents across our kitchen island, his mother smiling sweetly while her eyes assessed me like inventory, the judge's stern face as he stamped papers controlling someone's life. When I woke, it was dark outside. My phone buzzed. One new voicemail, unknown number. I hesitated, then hit play. Emily, sweetheart. Patrick's voice trembling too perfectly. You're scaring everyone. I can help you, but you have to let me. Call me back, please. A sharp breath, a sniff, then, you know you can't do this without me. The voicemail ended. The last sentence echoed like a verdict. Claire appeared in the doorway. She must have heard something in my breathing. You okay? I replayed the last line in my head before answering. Yes, I said, better than okay, because his fear finally slipped through. We regrouped in the kitchen. Olivia had sent a message. Tomorrow we don't just defend, we attack. We establish motive and financial gain. Bring the business files in the morning. OR. It's time you look at his motive clearly, Claire said, opening my folder. She pointed at the valuation page. Your architecture firm, Seton Design Group, is worth nearly $8 million on the market today. You lead the flagship redevelopment project downtown. That alone guarantees long-term profit. My breath hitched. $8 million. I knew we were doing well, but that number doesn't feel real. Marco folded his arms. Real enough that Patrick wants it. Along with the house, the joint investments, the retirement accounts, if he controls you, he controls everything. And he gets to be the hero husband, Claire added, taking care of his unstable wife while draining her assets. It wasn't paranoia, it was a business model. I pressed my hand against my sternum, grounding myself in the weight of truth. So what's the most important step tomorrow, I asked. Claire answered instantly. Show the judge you are not alone. Support, community, witnesses. Patrick expected me isolated. Instead, here I was building an army. The following morning, Marco drove us to Olivia's office early enough that the sun hadn't fully claimed the sky yet. The courthouse loomed just a few blocks away, gray and rigid, like a wall built to protect justice or bury it. Inside the office, Olivia stood by the window sleeves, rolled up, no makeup hair, pinned back, pure steel in human form. You're early. Good. She motioned toward a table stacked with organized binders. Everything is evidence, your emails, design, dossiers, therapy, absence records, bank logs, showing your financial independence. My eyes widened. How did you? Claire and Marco Olivia replied. They don't waste time. Claire smirked. Marco shrugged eyes on the hallway like a guard dog. And Olivia continued. I have secured 2 expert witnesses who will testify you exhibit no signs of mental incapacity. I exhaled in relief. We also requested digital discovery for Patrick, and his mother, Olivia, added a spark of righteous fire in her eyes. Every transaction, every guardianship filing, every woman they targeted. Will the judge approve that, I asked? He has to if we present clear concern of financial abuse. Claire leaned toward me, voice firm. This isn't about them proving you're unstable. It's about us proving they're criminals. 10 minutes before the hearing, I stood outside the courtroom doors. My pulse was steady now, not weak, focused. Across the hallway, Patrick appeared. Tan trench coat, hair perfectly styled, press waiting around him like he was a celebrity grief victim. His mother at his side, pearls around her neck, rosary in hand. They didn't see me yet. Claire stepped beside me. Do you want to avoid facing them until we're inside? No, I said. I wanted them to look at me, not the broken thing they hoped I'd be, but the woman they underestimated. We crossed the hall. Patrick noticed first. For the briefest moment, a flicker of shock broke his polished mask just enough to confirm. He believed I should have been gone by now. Then he smiled, sugary venom coating the edges. Emily? He breathed, reaching a hand toward me like I was a lost pet. You came back. Thank God. I didn't take his hand. I'm exactly where I need to be, I replied. His mother stepped closer, eyes narrowing with calculated pity. You poor thing, she whispered. You don't understand what's happening. Let us help you. Her voice was honey sweetness hiding a trap. I tilted my head, meeting her gaze without blinking. I understand perfectly, I said. That's why you're scared. Her smile cracked just slightly. Before she could answer, Olivia opened the courtroom door. Let's begin, she said. Inside, the judge reviewed the files quickly but thoroughly. Olivia presented with calm assertiveness, no theatrics, just fact after fact, hammering through the lies. Patrick's lawyer tried to interrupt 3 times. The judge silenced him each time. Patrick himself tried to speak tearful pleas about my state of mind, but Olivia shut him down with a single question. Mr. Hayes, if your wife is incapable of basic functioning, why has she independently signed every architectural approval for the Seton project within the last 72 hours? Silence. The judge finally spoke. The court sees no evidence that Mrs. Hayes lacks capacity. The motion for temporary guardianship is denied. Air rushed from my lungs. Denied. He lost the first battle. But the judge wasn't finished. And given the concerns of financial coercion raised here, this court orders a temporary protection order. Mr. Hayes is prohibited from contacting Mrs. Hayes directly or indirectly until further review. Olivia's grip tightened briefly on my arm, the smallest celebration. Patrick turned eyes darkening into something far less polished. His mother whispered furiously into his ear. The gavel struck. Hearing adjourned. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing like lightning. Microphones extended toward me. Emily, how do you respond to the accusations? Are you planning to divorce your husband? Is there a criminal investigation underway? Olivia spoke for me, no further comments at this time. Marco and Claire formed a protective path guiding me into the SUV. As the door closed and the chaos quieted, I let myself feel it. Not victory, not safety. Strength. Rebuilt from the wreckage they tried to bury me under. Claire looked back from the front seat. Phase 1 complete, she said. Now we bring them down. I nodded. I wasn't running anymore. I was rising. After the hearing, we retreated to Olivia's office to regroup. For the first time since I fled that restaurant, I could breathe in full, deep inhale air that felt like mine again. But relief was a fragile privilege. We have a window, Olivia said, setting her briefcase on the table. Small but significant. Patrick will regroup and escalate. We need to stay ahead of him. Claire leaned forward, elbows on her knees. What's our next strike? Olivia slid a stack of folders toward us. Asset tracing. We follow the money he's already tried to siphon from Emily's accounts. Anything unusual becomes evidence of intent. I tightened my grip on the folder, intent to financially exploit his spouse. Olivia smirked, exactly the phrase the judge likes to hear. Marco stood by the door, arms crossed. And the media? How do we handle the narrative? Olivia glanced at me before answering, carefully. We may need the public on our side later, but right now, silence protects us. That was fine by me. I didn't want pity. I wanted victory. Later, Claire drove us to Seton Design Group, my sanctuary and the heart of Patrick's motive. My building stood tall against the midday light glass panels gleaming like armor. I had built this place. Every line of steel, every measured angle, every hope poured into concrete. Stepping inside, I braced myself, half expecting whispers, pointed stares, judgment. Instead, Emily. I was surrounded. Staff members, designers, interns, project leads all rushing in with concern and relief. We were so worried. Is everything okay? We heard rumors, none of them made sense. Lauren, my project manager, stepped beside me protectively. Whatever's happening, she said loudly, we're with you. Her words hit somewhere deep, warming the parts fear had frozen. Claire whispered at my side, they will become your most credible witnesses. I nodded. I walked straight to my office, the place I thought I'd return to with champagne and flowers after a birthday celebration. Instead, I arrived battle-tired, armor on. Lauren followed me in as I opened my laptop. Just say what you need, she said. Everything I answered. Backup files, project ownership documents, emails confirming my leadership. We already started pulling them, she said proudly. This was my territory. Patrick had underestimated that. By early afternoon, Olivia had what she needed. Financial spreadsheets, legal documentation, proof I was the backbone, not the liability of this company. As we prepared to leave, Lauren caught my arm. He came here earlier, she whispered. Patrick. He asked questions about you, about the project, about access to financial systems. I froze. What did you tell him? That he needed a court order and that the only person who gives orders here is you. I almost laughed exhausted emotional laughter, but instead I hugged her. She stiffened in surprise before hugging me back. Thank you, I said. For what? For knowing who I am. Outside, Marco's phone buzzed. As he read the screen, his shoulders tensed. What happened? I asked. He looked up, expression hardening like shield steel. Patrick just filed for an emergency injunction to access the company records. He's already attacking from another angle. Olivia cursed under her breath. He's trying to lock you out of your own business. We need to respond tonight. And there's more, Marco added quietly. A news piece just aired anonymous sources claiming you had a breakdown at a high-end restaurant during your husband's birthday dinner. My stomach twisted. Anonymous sources could only be Patrick or his mother. Claire showed me the headline on her phone. Architect's meltdown raises. Questions about mental stability and high-pressure success. I stared at the glowing screen, my life distorted into tabloid entertainment. Claire gently lowered the phone. Don't stare into their version of you. They're afraid. They're rushing. Olivia straightened her blazer. This is exactly why we need a counterstrike. Documentation, witnesses, a professional evaluation. They can't paint you unstable if we drown them in truth. And Marco added, it's time to get your story out. Strategically. I exhaled hard, so we don't hide. No, Claire said. We take control. That evening, we returned to Claire's safe house. Olivia set up her laptop on the dining table, typing with the speed of someone who survives off caffeine and deadlines. Marco checked the security perimeter, twice. And I paced. $8 million firm, 32 other victims, a network of financial predators, a public media smear campaign. I stopped pacing and said, if they want to drag this into the public, fine, but they don't get to run the spotlight. Claire smiled like a coach seeing her athlete finally tap into rage. So what's your move? She asked. I sat at the table, turning my laptop toward me. I speak first, I said boldly. Not to the press, not yet. To the board of Seton Design Group. They have the power to protect the company while we fight this. Olivia nodded. Good. They'll need assurance you're stable and still capable of leadership. I'll show them the evidence, I said, and if they need more, let them see the woman who built the firm from her own grit. The plan took shape fast, an emergency board call scheduled for the next morning. Tonight was strategy, tomorrow was war. We paused only when Marco delivered takeout cold sandwiches none of us tasted. Fear had turned into adrenaline. I was exhausted, but I couldn't rest. Around midnight, I stepped onto the small back porch. The air smelled like oak and rain, cleaner than anything that had touched me in days. Claire joined quietly, handing me a mug of hot tea. You're doing better than you think, she said. I feel like I'm one wrong move from losing everything. You already lost everything, she said plainly, and you're still here. That makes you dangerous. I turned to her. Why did you help me, really? Claire looked down at her hands, the fingers of someone who had erased nightmares in files for years. Because once she said, voice low, I was you. but no one caught me before I hit bottom. No one fought for me. Her eyes lifted sharp, fierce. I promised myself if I ever saw another woman standing where I once stood, I would not look away. I didn't trust myself to speak, so I just nodded, holding on to the warmth of the cup like it was the only heat in the world. After a moment, Marco stepped outside. "It's time to rest," he said. "Tomorrow we take another step toward taking your life back." I finished my tea and headed in. The guest room welcomed me not with comfort but with purpose. I wasn't collapsing into bed. I was recharging. Before turning off the lamp, I wrote in my notebook a tool I had started to sharpen. Build louder than they can lie. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time, it felt winnable. The next morning, sunlight sliced through the blinds like bright conviction. I felt it on my skin before I even opened my eyes, and for the first time in days, I didn't wake in fear. I woke in purpose. I showered, changed, and pulled my hair back in a sharp twist. Claire stepped into the hallway as I emerged, looked me over, and simply said, "You look like the woman who owns the company." I breathed out slowly, "I am." We arrived at Olivia's office 15 minutes before the emergency board call. The screen was already set up 9 corporate headshots, directors of Seton Design Group, waiting to judge whether the architect they trusted was still fit to lead. As the call-connected faces appeared, Mr. Lane CFO, Sophia Hart lead, investor Thomas Reed, head of development, others joining in from airports, penthouses, offices in New York, Chicago, LA. Lane spoke first. "Emily, thank God you're here. We've been flooded with rumors." I stood tall, yes, and I'm here to give you facts, not stories crafted to destroy me. I clicked to share my files on screen, my medical clearance, the denied guardianship motion, financial proof that Patrick had attempted unauthorized access, messages documented, witnesses in process. Sophia leaned closer to her camera. "So the story about a breakdown." "A lie," I said calmly, "designed to remove me from control of this firm so my husband could seize my shares." Shock spread across their faces. Lane exhaled. "Emily, why didn't you tell us sooner?" "Because I didn't want to drag the firm into something personal," I said. "But when someone tries to weaponize my personal life against this company, then it becomes business." Sophia nodded, impressed. "And what do you need from us?" "Protection from internal takeover attempts, reinforcement that I remain fully authorized to lead. Any motion Patrick files against this company must be denied." Silence, then Thomas Reed spoke, voice rough with loyalty. "You built this company from the ground up. You walk, we collapse. I vote in favor." One by one, hands raised. "Unanimous." Lane smiled. "We trust you, Emily, and we're with you." The call ended. I let myself lean into the chair for a moment, not to rest, but to absorb the reinforcement beneath me. Claire clapped once sharp. "Board secured, that's power." Olivia gathered her notes. Next target, the court of public opinion. Marco slid his phone onto the table. "They're pushing harder." He showed us a new headline. "Husband of distraught architect speaks, I just want her safe." Patrick pictured on the courthouse steps, eyes red hand gripping a framed photo of us smiling last Christmas. Public sympathy, the oldest weapon. Claire clicked her tongue. "He's playing grieving husband before the public even knows what he's grieving." "Good," I said. "When the truth comes out, people will remember his performance." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "You're ready to speak publicly?" I nodded. "Not as a victim, as a leader." We filmed the statement hours later. Nothing dramatic, no tears, no theatrics. Just me at a plain desk speaking directly to the camera. "My name is Emily Hayes. I am the owner and architect behind Seton Design Group. Recently, accusations have been made claiming I am mentally unfit to manage my life or my business. Those claims are false. They were part of a calculated attempt to remove me from the assets I built through decades of work. I am stable, I am supported, and I am not afraid. No woman deserves to have her success stolen under the guise of concern. No woman should lose her life's work because someone she trusted wants control. Thank you to those standing with me. I will not be silenced." Olivia ended the recording satisfied, short, powerful, irrefutable. Marco uploaded it to a trusted media outlet and a secure social channel. Then we waited. But not for long. Within 20 minutes, 10,000 views, then 80,000, then 200,000. Hashtags trending, Jur Architect against abuse. Stand with Emily, and power over manipulation. Claire grinned. They heard you. My phone buzzed private messages from other women, strangers, colleagues. Thank you for speaking up. I went through this. You're not alone. They tried to take my house, too. Every word was a flame joining the fire. Late afternoon, Olivia received a call. We all held still as she listened. Then she hung up face set like a steel trap. What is it? I asked. He's accelerating, Olivia said. He's claiming emotional damage, requesting restraining orders. And she swallowed, furious. He's filed a motion stating that your firm manipulated you, that your staff exploited your confusion to keep you working while unwell. My chest tightened. He's trying to turn my strength into weakness. Yes, she said, and he's framing your support system as predators. Marco hit the table with his fist. They're rewriting reality. But I didn't panic. Not this time. I stood. If they wanted a war of narrative, I was ready to narrate myself. What do we do? I asked. Olivia looked up at me with a slow, confident smile. We subpoena Patrick's financial communications, his mother's records, every statement they've made about you. Because if he wants to weaponize lies, he'll have to face the truth under oath. Claire added, and we collect more survivors, women he tried to break. They strengthen the case. I nodded firmly. Find them. Already started, Claire replied. That night, I sat on the porch again, notebook in my lap. I wrote, Power isn't given. It is reclaimed, brick by brick. For a moment, I let myself look at the stars, distant but steady, like hope. Marco stepped outside, phone in hand. You should see this, he said. We went inside. Claire and Olivia were already watching the TV. A breaking news alert. Survivors come forward against guardianship scheme. Women on camera, faces blurred, sharing stories that sounded too familiar. Sudden claims of instability, freezing accounts, trying to take everything. A journalist concluded lawyers believe this may expose a larger pattern of financial abuse targeting highly successful women. Claire muted the screen. This is momentum, she said, and momentum scares predators more than anything. My phone buzzed, a number I didn't recognize. I answered anyway. A shaky voice whispered, Emily, my name is Lauren. I think my daughter was one of them. I've been waiting for someone brave enough to fight back. My knees weakened, but I stayed standing. You found the right fight, I said. When the call ended, Olivia stepped closer. Tomorrow, she said solemnly, we prepare for the final hearing. We will present undeniable evidence. We will expose the pattern. We will tear down their mask. What happens if we win? I asked. Claire placed a hand on my shoulder. You'll have your life back. Marco added, and they'll lose theirs. I looked between them, all three, my unexpected army. No, I said softly but firmly. They waited. If we win, I don't just want my life back. I want justice, real justice, for every woman they targeted. The room went silent. Not out of doubt, out of recognition. This was bigger than survival now. It was revolution. I was no longer just defending myself. I was paving a road others could walk. Claire said it first with a fire that matched mine. Then tomorrow, we don't just prove the truth, we make history. I nodded, jaw set, heart steady. I was ready for the final battle, and Patrick would finally learn what it meant to underestimate a woman who builds for a living. Because I wasn't just rebuilding myself. I was reinventing the battlefield. The courthouse felt colder the second time, not frightening, just stark, like a battlefield stripped of illusion. I walked through the double doors wearing a tailored navy suit, hair smooth and pinned posture, unshakably straight. I wasn't the woman who ran through a back hallway to escape her husband. I was the woman who would end him. Olivia set a reassuring hand on my arm as we approached the courtroom. "You're ready," she said. "I've been ready," I answered. Inside, the air hummed with anticipation. The judge reviewed documents. The stenographer set her fingers over the keys. Reporters filled the gallery seats in silence. Patrick and his mother sat on the opposite side of the aisle. He looked sharpened by desperation. She looked like porcelain cracked beneath too many coats of paint. When the clerk called our case, Olivia rose first. "Your Honor, we are presenting evidence of a guardianship scheme targeting my client, Mrs. Emily Hayes, an attempt to seize her assets through fraud, coercion, and public defamation." Exhibit after exhibit, clip after clip, every lie they weaponized was dismantled in full daylight. Then it was my turn. I walked to the witness stand with steady heels and an unbroken stare. After the oath, Olivia asked her first question. "Mrs. Hayes, how would you describe your current mental state?" "I am stable. I am strong. I am fully capable of making every decision in my life and my business." "And why do you believe this guardianship petition was filed?" I turned my gaze to Patrick, cool exact. "Because my success threatened them. Because my financial independence made me valuable. Because I trusted someone who saw my love as an opportunity." Whispers rippled through the audience. Patrick's attorney quickly stood, objection speculation. But before he finished, Olivia raised a printed page. "We have documentation of financial plotting, Your Honor." The judge nodded, overruled. Then came the moment that shifted the entire trial. Olivia introduced witnesses, women I had never met, women who carried scars that matched mine. One by one, they testified how a trusted partner tried to steal their entire lives by labeling them unstable. By the time the fourth woman finished speaking, you could feel the entire courtroom tipping. This was no coincidence. This was a pattern, a system, a weapon aimed at successful women. Patrick couldn't hide behind his grief act now, his mask-cracked eyes full of panic as his mother's hand dug crescent moons into his arm. Then Olivia delivered the final blow. A subpoenaed bank statement showing funds funneled toward an offshore account, controlled by Patrick and his mother. It wasn't a guardianship, it was robbery. Silence roared through the courtroom. The judge's voice cut through like steel. This court not only denies the guardianship petition, but issues an immediate restraining order. Furthermore, a criminal investigation will be opened into the conduct of Mr. Hayes and Ms. Whitlock for conspiracy to commit fraud, coercion, and financial abuse. Patrick stood up suddenly. "You don't understand, she's lying, she." "Sit down." The judge's gavel cracked the air. "Mrs. Hayes is free to go," case concluded. That was it. I didn't cheer, I didn't cry. I just breathed deep and victorious. Claire squeezed my hand. Marco gave a rare smile. Olivia nodded, once proud. Patrick called after me, "Emily, Emily, please." I didn't even turn around. Press swarmed the steps outside the courthouse. Reporters shouted, "Emily, how do you feel? What's next for you? What do you want to say to other women in your situation?" I faced the cameras not as a victim of a marriage, but as the architect of my own future. I want women to know your success is not a diagnosis, your voice is not instability, and your independence is not evidence of madness. It is strength, and strength terrifies people who can't control it. Flash, 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 a wave of shudders like applause. I finished. I survived because I had support. No one should have to fight alone, and I intend to make sure fewer women do. Months passed. Criminal charges were filed. Patrick and his mother's network unraveled under federal investigation. Women came forward in dozens, then hundreds, an entire hidden epidemic finally given a name. I returned to Seton Design Group full-time, but this time I made room for something new. On the top floor, where natural light spills across a view of the whole city, I built a new department. The Hayes Foundation for Women's Legal Defense, free legal aid for victims of financial abuse, mental health support for women misdiagnosed for convenience, advocacy to reform guardianship laws nationwide. We weren't just helping women survive, we were helping them rise. The dedication ceremony was quiet, elegant, real. Claire was there, strong as ever, finally stepping into purpose again. Marco arrived late, pretending he didn't care, but his eyes said everything. Olivia gave a speech that made half the room cry, and the other half plan revolutions. Lauren from my firm handed me a bouquet of white lilies. "You built this," she said. "No," I replied. "We built this." After the speeches, I stepped onto the rooftop terrace overlooking the skyline I once thought marked the limit of my dreams. But now I knew better. Patrick taught me what it looks like when someone tries to shrink a powerful woman. Claire taught me what survival looks like when it fights back. And I learned what a rebuilt life can become when it refuses to break apart again. Not pain, not fear, but purpose. A life so full there is no room left for what tried to destroy me. Some nights I stay late at the firm lights glowing warm against the glass. I look out at the city, a place where too many women still walk into restaurants, unaware of the storm, waiting under a nice suit and a confident smile. But now they are less alone, because their stories can find me, and I will always answer. My name is Emily Hayes. I am an architect. I build structures meant to withstand the worst of storms. Turns out, I am one. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been silenced, doubted, or betrayed, your voice still matters. Share your story. Help another woman rise. And if my journey gave you strength, please subscribe, leave a comment, or share this video with someone who needs it. Tell me, what city are you listening from? Your voice is part of this story now.